Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, Breakfast Brothers, and Serve Pro. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get into it. Today on Strictly Business Unscripted, we're joined by Ruben Landa, who is a seasoned leader in the architectural, engineering, and construction industry. He has extensive experience in public service, strategic communications, and community outreach. He has played a pivotal role in building public support for transit, aviation, and highway projects in the DFW region and across the U.S., including the DART Silver Line Regional Rail Project. Ruben serves as the president of the Greater Dallas Planning Council and vice president of advisory and planning at WSP USA. He has held leadership roles with the Conference of Minority Transportation Officials and has been recognized as a top minority business leader by the Dallas Business Journal. He's also the recipient of the Honorable Ray LaHood Award from WTS Greater DFW for his contributions to transportation. His expertise in community engagement, public policy, and stakeholder collaborations makes him a trusted advisor on major infrastructure and capital improvement projects. Please welcome Ruben Landa. How are you today? I almost forgot your last name there.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here.
Of course.
This is my amazing friend. Ruben, how long have we known each other? Do you know?
Wow, probably about 16 years.
Yeah.
I think I met you probably 16 years ago when I joined K Strategies back in the day.
Yes, yes. And you were on our board of directors.
I was on the board of directors for about 3 years and was the one who's charged with the transportation summit every year. Yeah.
Yes. And we appreciate all of that. I really want you to come on back and help us. But, we'll talk about that after the camera's not rolling. So, Ruben, you have done so much in these spaces, transportation and otherwise, just like we've just read your bio. But who are you outside of all of your accomplishments? Who is Ruben Landa?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I'm always thinking about how I could serve the community, both, personally and professionally. Obviously professionally, a lot of people know all the projects that I've been on and all the agencies I've worked with, and they kind of know what my cup of tea is and how I like to operate. But on a personal basis, I spend a lot of time with my friends and my family, and I also spend a lot of times traveling the world. And I also run marathons, as I talk about it all the time with you. Everybody goes, oh, he's talking about marathons again. But I am an avid marathon runner, international marathon runner, so that really helps me focus on my health and really kind of keep me engaged and travel the world.
Okay, so when I think about a marathon, first of all, it just overwhelms me because walking up these stairs, I get winded. So we're going to delve into all the other things you do, but that is just, it's overwhelming for a person like me. How far is a marathon?
Marathons are 26.2 miles. And so it's 42 kilometers, and it's the longest type of race. There's other longer races, of course, 50-mile runs, or ultras and things like that. But the most common long run in the industry is marathons. So, yes.
Oh, my gosh. And so, because I am who I am, I just want to know, what in the world do you think about when you're running?
It's funny, I joke about this because you could solve the world problems during the time you're running a marathon because it's so long, and you have to kind of think about stuff while you're running to kind of take your mind off the stresses of and the pains that come with running. So I think about work, I think about personal, I think about friends, I think about everything. So by the time I'm finished running a marathon, I don't have anything else to think about. I've thought about everything, and so it's a really cool thing. But the other thing that makes marathons easy to run when you're running them is the people. The hoopla is what they call it. There are just thousands of people that are cheering you on, and encouraging you to get through the entire 26.2 miles. And so that's a lot of fun to see all the people and all the signs that they have, and they're really kind of goofy signs, but it shows a level of respect for those people that run. And there's only probably about 1 million people on the planet that actually run marathons. out of the 8.5 billion people, there's only a million crazy people that
Wow.
think that running 26.2 miles is a good thing.
Yeah.
So it's a unique accomplishment in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah. You know, I'm crazy in a different way. I wish I were crazier in that way. But, anyway, so let's talk about your career for
Sure.
a little bit. So, what drew you to public service planning and just shaping cities? What sucked you in?
I've always been into community activation. When I was in high school, I was part of all the different groups that required you to be out there trying to serve the community and do things that help others. It's just in my nature. I don't know. I guess it's the way my parents raised me. But it was always something that I was always into. And as I went through my education, particularly in grad school, I was assigned certain projects that required you to be a little bit more strategic in how you would deliver projects that would benefit communities. I recall taking a class in grad school where you had to pick a project and you have to explain how you would deliver that project from A through Z. Meaning, from the planning and the funding and then the engineering and then the construction and then operation if it's a project of that type. And so I picked a reliever freeway in Los Angeles. They would get around Pasadena as opposed to going through Pasadena. And it was really unique because I didn't really know much about that, but I was kind of fascinated because I would read about it and in the newspaper and whatnot. Because when I was in grad school, the internet was just getting going, so everything was library. And so I would read a lot about, projects and how projects would happen. And after I finished that project, I was so fascinated by that. And so that became the basis for what I wanted to do in life. Because there's different ways that you can give back to the community. It's through philanthropy, it's through community engagement, community outreach. It's all kinds of different ways. But the way I like to give back to the community is helping build projects that benefit people in a very positive way, that improve the quality of life around them, whether it's a freeway or an airport or rail or a park or a convention center, anything that would benefit the public in many different ways, I feel is my way of giving back to the community. And that's been my passion ever since.
That's very interesting. Your mind is so amazing to me and so different than mine because we think about community building different ways, and all of it is necessary in order to build our community. Tell me, if you would, what has happened in your early career that has most shaped how you think about community building?
When I look at some of these projects that require public support, a lot of these projects are very expensive projects, and sometimes they require a referendum. Sometimes they have to require a council vote, which means that you have to get the support of the constituents. So then the constituents, want the council members to vote a certain way. There's all kinds of different. I got engaged with the community in that regard, and what I found is that different communities have different perspectives about these same projects, and sometimes these projects are built for certain reasons that's maybe not as equitable, I guess is the best way to describe it. And what I mean is that I'm not talking about equity from a fairness standpoint, like financial and contract, like MWB and stuff. I'm talking about creating projects that benefit all communities, everybody, and not just a community. So, a long time ago when we built the interstate freeway system, it was meant to be a tool to move our military assets around the country more frequently and faster. That's the initial reason why the freeway network was built under Eisenhower. But later on, it became an economic purpose, and it became a connectivity purpose and a mobility purpose. And so they were building freeways all through the country and building them through communities and ruining these communities while thinking about the repercussions of building these freeways through communities that, basically were split in half.
Yeah.
And so what you're seeing is now a lot of these freeways are being rebuilt because they have to be rebuilt because of maintenance reasons, because of capacity reasons and things of that nature. And what you're finding is there are communities now demanding that these freeways be rebuilt in a way that helps reconnect those communities. Yeah. And you see it right here in Oak Cliff with the Halpern Park, the deck park. It was a way to help reconnect the community that was divided when they built 35 way back in the day.
Yeah.
And so what I've always wanted to do is when we have these projects, I want to help facilitate really good conversations with the community to make sure all communities are bought into it.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, then you really are investing the right way on these projects.
Yeah.
If you build a project that doesn't benefit all communities, you have to ask yourself the question: is it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we be doing this? And so that is, I try to take it a different approach to these projects. It's not just run and gun. Let's just build it and make the money and whatnot. You really got to think about how it impacts communities, and that's the part that makes me different from other people.
Yeah.
Is that I really, really care about what the people think about these projects.
Yeah.
And not just the few.
Okay, so you've said a mouthful here, and so I'm gonna. This is something I did not understand, and maybe don't understand a whole lot now. But if you would, in layman's terms, just kind of explain what it means to divide communities. Like, how impactful is that really in terms of ghettos and all the things? If you'll drill down and make sure that we have a good understanding of why running these roads and all of these things through communities, how divisive, how destructive can that be? How destructive has it been? How has it impacted our southern sector here in Dallas County? All the things.
I'm from Houston, Texas,
Okay.
so we have the same situation in Houston that we have here in Dallas. I've seen it in Austin. In Houston, it's 288 dividing Third Ward. In Austin, it's 35 dividing East Austin from West Austin. Here is South Oak Cliff being divided in half. The issue is that freeway creates a barrier. It creates an actual man-made barrier that separates communities and creates a situation where one side may benefit and another may not. And it just divides communities. And if you're not there to kind of find a way to maintain that community and continue to allow it to thrive, then the communities will fall apart. And that's exactly what happened in South Oak Cliff. And because South Oak Cliff used to be a thriving community.
That's right.
And it was a thriving community. It was the community, if you will, for the city of Dallas before this huge shift made its way to north of the Trinity. And so it's about, what are you doing to maintain communities after these projects go in? You just don't build these projects and then just leave.
Right.
You have to think about how you're going to create opportunities.
Right.
So when we're thinking about the deck park really creates that connectivity. It's almost an example of the effort to reconnect communities. But the key is now, what do you do with that?
Right.
Okay. So there's this whole sales pitch that, you're going to build this deck park and you're going to create economic development opportunities. Okay. And so what does that mean for the communities? Okay. There's going to be gentrification that's going to probably follow, and it's already happening.
Yeah.
And that's another issue.
Yeah.
That needs to be discussed. But the question is all these economic opportunities, maybe we should be allowing the people in these communities to have those economic opportunities, have them get those jobs.
Yeah.
All this new development, all this new expansion that's happening in the community as a result of the deck park. Let's give these jobs to the people that are there. And if they're not capable, let's get them trained up.
That's
so
right.
they can take those jobs, so then
That's
they can
right.
take that money and they could reinvest in their homes, reinvest in their families, give them the opportunities they didn't have before. And that's how you rebuild communities. That kind of thoughtful approach is what you need.
Yeah.
But if you don't do that, then you're building a deck park just to do it because it looks good and you're hoping that it'll.
Yeah.
But if you're not being thoughtful in how to take advantage of this, then you're still failing the communities, and that's what
right.
you got to do.
Yeah. I want to go deeper.
That's good.
Can we?
Sure.
The freeways that have divided these communities, do you think that this has been done deliberately?
I don't think it was done deliberately. I think it was done without thought.
Okay.
I think that the Eisenhower, at the time when Eisenhower did this, he was doing it because he wanted to make sure that we were protecting our nation's homeland. He was, it was all about national security. The freeway network in the United States was kind of mimicked the Autobahn system in Germany. And Germany had an Autobahn system, not so cars could ride around fast, which is what everybody thinks, but it's to get their military assets around Germany during the World Wars. And so that was kind of the thinking behind it. So I think it was more about national security, but I don't think they thought about how this would impact the communities. But as time went on, it's hard to not think that. And I get that. I totally get that because freeways have been built through high-income areas, you know? I mean, think about the North Texas Toll Road, okay? It goes right through Highland Park. I mean, it goes right through there, you know, and that area still thrives, you know? And so I think it has to, I just don't think that when they built the network initially, there was enough forethought. The perception on the Department of Transportation is they have one responsibility, and that's to build freeways to get people around.
Sure.
So they're building something for that's going to benefit the public, the traveling public. So it's meant to be a benefit. Okay, so that is their number one priority. That's their objective as a transportation, a Department of Transportation. And so they're not in the business of connecting communities, for lack of better descriptions.
Yeah.
It's going to take the local communities to force the Department of Transportations to take that into account. And there's a way to do that. I mean, there's a whole entire NEPA process that every single freeway project has to go through in order to get federal funding. Okay, they cannot get the funding without going through that process, and it's a deliberate process. And the process was created back in 1970. That would force communities to be engaged in the decision making and delivering these projects. That's why you've seen a shift over the decades to communities having more of a say on freeways. They may not stop freeways, but they may have a say on where the freeway is located and how it impacts the community, and you know how many access points there are, and you know, and if there's going to be a deck park, the departments of transportation are not going to pay for a deck park.
Sure.
You know that.
Right.
It's going to be a local community, a city effort, foundation effort, private, public. The people are going to have to push for those things. Right. And the people are going to have to invest in those things. Because again, the Department of Transportation only have one responsibility, and that's to build freeways. Yeah. But if you can have that partnership, which you've seen between the Dallas TxDOT district, they've worked with the communities. That's the reason why the deck park in your community is happening. That's why Clyde Warren is happening. That's why the deck parks in I-30 are going to happen. That's why all these things are happening, because the community is more active and they figured out how to do it. Right. Okay.
So let's walk, and I appreciate that. And I, you know, this is Strictly Business Unscripted, so we just kind of.
Absolutely. And this is my opinion. And this is my opinion has been developed by a lot of experiences. Yeah. So, you know, I'm glad to have an opportunity to share those.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And, you know, and I say those things because I hear, of course, from the communities. We're a Chamber of Commerce. And when we're talking about these freeways and how divisive they've been, and we're talking about the hood, the ghetto, you know, those that are under-resourced. And here in the southern sector, it's considered a very under-resourced area, be it from a banking standpoint or a food standpoint, entertainment, all the things. And so some residents and businesses blame the freeway, blame that.
I mean, I can understand that, but there's such a big conversation about investing more in transit. I'm a huge transit supporter. I'm also a supporter of freeways. I'm a supporter of all transportation.
And we need that.
We need. But I think they're all part of a bigger solution. But public transit, I think we need to invest more in public transit, not only because it'll help reduce the need to build more and more freeway lanes and whatnot. You're still going to have to rebuild freeways because they get old and have to be updated. But to expand on that, we need more public transit, not only because we want to get people out of cars, but we need transit because it's an economic thing. When I've been on a multitude of transit projects where, you know, at the very beginning of my career, it was really hard to get public transit approved by public because your only argument was it was going to help solve our mobility problems. And everybody knows that transit on alone cannot do that. Right. But we got smarter. We got smarter because we started educating people and say, hey, it has many benefits. Yeah. It's part of the solution when it comes to mobility, but it also has benefits from creating options for people that are transit dependent. There's an economic benefits. There's an environmental benefits. There's a convenience benefits. I mean, there's all kind of benefits.
Sure.
And if you go out there and you sell all the benefits that public transit has, then what you have done is you build a coalition of support, because you have the people to support this reason, people to support this reason. And when you put that together, it's really hard not to have a consensus for transit. And if we do a better job of communicating the overarching benefits that transit has, but in turn also make sure that when we provide that transit, it's quality transit, it's safe, it's clean, it goes everywhere, then I think transit could be the solution that we have, that we need to help mitigate the concern that there's too many freeways.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. Let's talk about you personally and professionally, of course. Can we walk kind of through your journey since K Strategies? Like,
Sure.
What did you do at K Strategies? What do you now do at WSP? And then we need to talk about the Greater Dallas
Sure.
Planning Council. Yeah.
So in order for me to talk about K Strategies, I have to talk about previous. So my career has, once upon a time, I worked for a state judge, and she was a state 295th District Court judge, an elected judge, and she ascended to the Texas Court of Appeals, and I was her court clerk, and that's when I thought I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
And then, but then I decided, you know what, I just really kept on getting drawn back to the AEC industry. So I went back to grad school for my second master's, to work on my second master's, and that's when I was in urban planning and urban development and transportation. And I got my first job as an intern at Metro Houston, and that's when my career started. And since then, I have worked for STB Incorporated, I worked for HDR, and I also and then I took a break and I worked for a senator. And then when I came back in, it was during the Great Recession of 2008, 2009, and there was like no jobs.
Yeah.
But there was a job that was available here in Dallas to work with Katrina Keys, who's the owner of K Strategies, and it was to do something that I had not done before. I had done public policy and diversity program management, which is MWB, DBE, Hub, all that. But I had never managed those programs. So when I got brought on by her, she goes, look, I go, you're looking for a job. Let me give you a job, and I need you to help me grow my company because I want to get into public engagement in transportation, and that's your background. Come on in. Show me that, and then I'll show you how to do diversity program management, and then we do that. We'll help each other out, and we could grow the business. And that's exactly what we did. And so for about 7 years, I managed our diversity programs on the DFW trip, the Love Field modernization program, the Omni Hotel, Parkland Hospital, a multitude of heavy highway projects, the Dark Blue Line in Rowlett. So I did all these projects on the diversity side, working with all the big major GCs and whatnot, and it really allowed me to grow my understanding of how the construction industry worked. I already understood the engineering side, but I didn't understand the construction, so I learned, so it made me a better professional. And then WSP came knocking on my door and made me an offer I couldn't refuse because it really got me back to my comfort zone, which was more the architectural, engineering, planning, public involvement, and I've been doing that ever since. And one of the first projects that I was charged to help win when I was with WSP was the Dart Silver Line. And we subsequently won, and I've been on that project as a deputy project manager for 8 years, which just opened late last year. While doing that, I've been on projects all over the place, TxDOT, the airport, you name it, all over the country, and it's really helped me grow in that regard, and has helped me just expand my knowledge of transportation through and through, from public transit to heavy highway to aviation, and also to maritime, which is my passion, transportation. So that's been what I've been doing at WSP. I'm one of their national leaders and a regional executive for the company, and it really has been great. That's my background.
That is something. Okay, so Silver Line, Dart's Silver Line. You said you were on that project for 8 years. Sometimes I get the color lines mixed up. So the Silver Line, walk us through where all that line goes. What is the touch?
There's 93 miles of light rail that goes throughout the entire region, and it's kind of a spoke, like most systems are. They kind of start from the center of the city and they make their way out. So if you're going to travel one side of the city, you have to travel into the city and travel back out. There's multiple lines. There's the orange, the blue, the red, and the green line. The silver line was unique because for years, the partnering cities of the DART system outside of Dallas have been wanting rail. And when I had first came to Dallas, I was looking at the system, the long-range system plan, and I was always fascinated that there was this future line called the Cotton Belt. And I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool, you know? And I understood the reasoning by calling it cotton because, you know, our history in Dallas and the cotton history and whatnot. And so it was supposed to be a regional rail project. It was not supposed to happen until the 30s, the 2030s. But they advanced it. It was part of a conversation about a compromise that DART would support the Cotton Belt project if we also supported a D2 subway line in downtown Dallas. That project has been shelved, but Cotton Belt moved forward. And then over time, it changed into the Silver Line. And so that project basically was going to create a circular service, meaning that you could go from Plano to Richardson to Dallas to Addison to Carrollton to Coppell to Grapevine to DFW. But there's also the green line, there's also the red line, there's also the orange line that connects to the silver line. So you can go around the city without going in and out. You go around. Right. And so that was unique. But it was all the biggest benefit is connecting those 7 cities. Not only to the 93 miles of light rail in the system, but to DFW International Airport. Yes. And most people don't understand that major airports in the country typically don't have connection to public transit. Right. Of course, the big cities like New York and Chicago and Atlanta, they do, and LA. But most cities don't have public transit like rail that connects to the airports. And so Dallas has 2 with the orange line and also silver line. So it's a massive project, $2 billion, that really provides that rail transit service that the other cities have been wanting, and they got.
Okay. KBHCCD.
K. Bailey Hutchison, K. Bailey Hutchison, yes.
That is a mouthful. K. Bailey Hutchison, yes. The master plan. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I was one of the deputy project managers on that. One of my favorite projects. It, particularly the fact that it's outside of transportation, but the chance that I had to be a part of something that's going to change the way we look at Dallas forever is something that really excited me about this. To develop a master plan that they called for a brand new convention center, one of the largest in the industry. The renovation of T-Ball, the renovation of the original Coliseum, where everybody has to say this, you know, that's where the Beatles played and Elvis played and Michael Jackson and all this. It's a historic facility that's going to be the home of the Dallas Wings. It's going to create a district. It also created the conditions to have deck parks that's going to connect the Cedars in downtown, which in itself is an example of this larger effort to find ways to create more connection between the South and the North, to create more of an equitable region. It was a fascinating project, and I give a lot of credit to the city of Dallas for having the vision and the wherewithal to do this and to pick us to come in and develop the plan that now is under implementation. Demolition has begun on the convention center, and so hopefully in 2029 we'll have a brand new convention center, a district, a renovated Coliseum, a renovated T-Ball, that's going to be next to a brand new, I-30 Canyon. It's going to be fantastic.
What does T-Ball stand for?
Oh my God, this is a good one. This is the Theater of Letter and Arts. It's an African American theater. Okay, it's historic. Okay, and it is Curtis King is the gentleman who runs it. Great guy. But it's a historic African American gem. It's very, very important to Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, T-Ball is always what does that mean? It's theater of black and letters and arts.
Black Academy of Arts and Letters or something like that. Is that right? Yes. Black Academy of Arts and Letters. Okay. So how do you? So we've talked about the K. Bailey Hutchison Master Plan as well as DART. I know I'm bouncing around. That's cool. The way my brain works. I like it. So DART. How do you see DART and regional transportation evolving in the future?
Well, that's a good question, and I have an opinion on this one. everything that's going on right now is just part of the evolution of transit. I think in North Texas, okay, DART has always provided a tremendous value to this region. I don't care what anybody says.
That's right.
It has provided a tool and has created a benefit for people that are transit dependent to help connect communities, to help create opportunities for people to be able to travel to jobs, to events, to explore the city. I mean, there's a huge benefit. Now, it has gotten old. It has definitely gotten old, but that's the reason why, under the leadership of Nadine Lee, they have moved forward with the DART Transform, which what that is they're going through the process of transforming the entire network. What that means is they're going to have all brand new rail cars. They're going to have all brand new buses. All the stations are going to be retrofitted. It's all going to be connected by one unified systems of communications. It's going to have enhanced security. It's all going to be clean. It's all going to be secure, which is exactly what they need. They need a system that people can look at and say, hey, it's clean. Therefore, it feels safe. Therefore, they're going to write it. Right. And when they write it, they're going to realize it's great. More people are going to write it. More money will come back on a fare box return, which means more money for capital programs in the future. Yeah, it's a positive cycle. Right. But we have to get it replaced and have a new system to bring people back, because people just don't feel secure right now using it. And I understand that, and I'm not pretending that that's not a deal. It's a deal. It is. But at the end of the day, public transit, I believe that over the existence of DART, they have created over almost $20 billion in economic development around the stations and throughout the system. That's $20 billion. And they could expect so much more if they have a more modernized system. The other thing is, with all the decisions that are being made by the cities to stay in DART, I think that's great. I feel like there's some questions about the amount of money that's given back to the cities. But, in order to make this work, you're going to have to compromise. I prefer collaboration, where everybody gets what they want and they come together with the best plan. Yeah. But compromise tends to mean that people kind of have to let things go and kind of give things up. And that's what's happening right now. So it's not the best deal, but it's a deal. It's better than nothing. That's right. And I do like the idea that they're going to be developing a regional agency that's going to manage all of the commuter rail. Think about it. You have this big freeway system. Could you imagine a big system of freeways of commuter rail? And all the cities want commuter rail. They don't want the suburbs that are out there that are growing, and they're starting to freak out because the growth is causing them a lot of heartaches because of mobility and traffic and stuff. They want commuter rail. They don't want light rail. They don't want buses, but they want commuter rail because commuter rail is a lot more sexy. It gets people. It's more of an express. It gets you in and out faster. And it's usually on its own dedicated right of way or separated from streets and stuff. And so a lot of people are looking to that. And so if you build this new regional agency over commuter rail, they will take responsibility of the Tex Rail, of Silver Line, of the A Train and TRE, and then expand upon that and create a unified commuter rail network. This is common in other major cities, like Metra in Chicago is a perfect example. Metra is separate from CTA, so CTA is more of the L, but Metra is like this massive regional commuter rail system that gets people out into the far reaches of the suburbs, and it's used every single day by thousands and thousands of people. So imagine having that in DFW, and that's the direction they're going in. So I think transit and I think DART they're important to the future, and I think the future is going to be bright.
And the plan to this plan that Nadine is basically ensuring will happen for DART, does it address homelessness?
It does, because it's supposed to, because during the time we were delivering the Silver Line, that was one of the big issues we were having to confront with the partnering cities. They're like, one of the reasons there was some pushback is, and it's unfortunate, but there are communities that are like, we don't want public transit because it brings the homeless to our community. And that just drives me nuts. They're humans. And so, but there has to be a coordination between DART and the cities in developing solutions to help deal with the bigger problem of homelessness. Right. it's not a DART issue. It's a much broader issue.
That's right.
And there needs to be money that needs to be invested
That's right.
in creating ways to get them off the streets.
That's right.
To help provide them the services they need. And I know there's services like that, but there needs to be more.
That's right.
Okay, as the population grows, the reality is you're going to have homeless people for different reasons. And these people are homeless not because of they want to be homeless, because they have disabilities, they have drug problems, they have things that are just that we just can't understand, but we could be empathetic about it.
Right.
And we need to invest more money to help these people.
Right.
That's how you solve the problem. We don't just kick them around. They're human beings.
Right.
And so once we do that, I think that helps solve the problem on a grander scale, and then it makes it easier for DART.
You know, Ruben, there are so many things that you are passionate about, but I saw a different kind of passion when I said the word homeless. You know, that's
I hate to see it. You know, I feel bad because I do. I'm one of those. I'm a sucker. So when I go out of the store and there's like someone that's out there, hey, you know, I don't. Who carries cash on them these days?
Right.
You know, but what I'll do is I ask me money. I'll go in the store and I'll buy them something like a drink or a sandwich or something, and I'll come like, hey, how about this? And they're like, oh, thank you very much. Yeah. You know, and so I like try to do something. Yeah. You know, I've got the means to do that. Yeah. You know, but I can't do that for everybody. Yeah. You know, but I feel bad. Yeah. I feel bad because I want to do more, but. It's going to take more than just me to fix the problem. That's right.
That's right. Let's shift a little bit and let's talk about the airports, DFW, Love Field. Sure. So let's talk about the impact it has on the regions or the regional growth and competitiveness, overall competitiveness of our particular airports.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, just remember this. We are home of the world's largest aviation company, American Airlines, and we're also home of probably the most successful national airline, the Southwest Airlines. Well, they're international, but you get my point. Yeah. So we have those two in our backyard, so that's huge. And as a result, you're seeing massive amount of money being thrown on these airports. DFW, they're in the middle of a $13 billion capital program. New Terminal F, which is something they've been wanting for so long. They're going to rebuild Terminal C, which is something they badly need to do. And they're looking to bring in almost 100 million passengers a year, I think, starting next year. And then you also have Love Field. You know, I was part of the Love Field modernization program, and also the big garage that you know is no longer new, but it was pretty new when it opened in 2014. But you guys, I don't have to recite the Wright Amendment, but the Wright Amendment creates some restrictions in the number of gates that Love Field has. But as things change, and I think in time that Wright Amendment will go away, and it will allow for Love Field to expand beyond 20 gates, which will help it be even a much more successful airport. But what they're doing right now with the master plan is really kind of supersizing the terminal by making it fatter is the best way for me to describe it. So then it has more room to accommodate massive amount of people that are using the airport, but also for future growth. New head house, which are going to consolidate, you know, the ticketing and the security into one location, which will open up the space for that expanded terminal, and then new garages and a consolidated a rental car facility, which will consolidate all those rental car facilities that are everywhere into one facility. You're seeing that happening all over the country. So you're seeing both airports really, really up their game in terms of improving and making their assets the best in the aviation industry. And what that does to Dallas is, you know, there's no question the number one economic driver for DFW is DFW International Airport. Yeah. There's no question about it. I think it's something like $40 billion economic impact every year to the region. My gosh. That is massive. Yeah. You know, so you need to invest that kind of money into that, because that is our jewel. Yeah. And but Love Field is a fantastic airport. I also say that because I live very close to it, so it's easy and convenient for me. But it's a great airport, and I think when I give a lot of credit to Southwest Airlines, because if you go to their hubs around the country, their terminals are fantastic. You know, whether it's Fort Lauderdale or Chicago or Minneapolis, I mean, they have fantastic facilities, so they're up in their game as well.
So you mentioned the word investment, and so of course I live here in Oak Cliff, live, work, play, pray in Oak Cliff. In terms of investment from a transportation standpoint, what do you think needs to happen here in the southern sector?
I think streetcar would be great. I think connecting streetcar with downtown, I mean, it's already connecting with the modern streetcar, but expanding that to the old downtown Oak Cliff to the Deck Park, okay, and then also expanding it to Fair Park. I think that would be fantastic. I really think, and we've talked about this, I think that there should be investment to not renovate, but reimagine the old Oak Cliff downtown, where the Texas Theater is, and reimagine and redevelop that entire area, so then that could take advantage of what the Deck Park is going to bring. I think that would be fantastic, and then it'll create. When you go up north and you see, when I was in grad school, my first master's program, one of the things I wanted to do a thesis on edge cities, and edge cities was to describe basically suburbs that grew up into like cities, not just suburbs like neighborhoods and stuff, but have grown into like actual little mini cities that are surrounding the bigger major markets. So in our case, it's Dallas and Fort Worth, but you're starting to see Plano grow into a city, and you're starting to see Colony turn into a city, and Frisco,
right?
And so they're all having the same issues that Dallas has and whatnot,
right?
And so why can't there be that in Oak Cliff? Why can't we have this not a central business district, but a center of activity and commerce and everything that a big city has right here in Oak Cliff? I know downtown's right there, but this is historic, and you see it everywhere in the north. Why can't we do that in the south? Why can't we invest on more development opportunities and more infrastructure that would lend to more economic, retail and stores and more business offices and whatnot? Why can't we do that down in the south?
So, and I love the question. What do you think it is? Is there a disconnect with community leaders, institution, overall community? Where is the disconnect, and why do you think the southern sector is so far behind?
Well, I just think that there has to be a conversation with developers to get them to stop selling to potential corporations that want to relocate to this market and keep on pushing them to the north. There's so much space in the south.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities in the south, but no one's talking about it. We got to do a better job of talking about the benefits that's going on down here. It's funny because we're going to talk about GDPC in a little while, but we have a GDP South committee, and the purpose of that is to talk about the good things that are happening in the South, the southern region. I say South because regionally it's the South, but I get the historical nature of using that. But the southern region, we need to talk about the things that have happened that are good as the baseline for the things we could be doing to make it even better. And we've got to do a better job of communicating that to developers and creating more city incentives to bring them down to the south. There's got to be more effort to get the developers to shift their attention away from the north,
right,
and look at the south and see this as a massive opportunity.
Right.
There's no reason why the whole region south of the Trinity cannot be developed just like the north. There's just no reason for that. And what's the one thing that kind of pushes that back? It's probably because the perception that it's low income and it's minority and it's all these different things, which are stupid to be, with lack of better descriptions, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That cannot truly be the reason why you don't develop down here.
Right.
It's because they lack knowledge.
Yeah.
And they're not being told, they're not being educated on why the benefits are great down here.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree. Now, you mentioned GDPC.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. How did you step into that role, which it has exploded since you started leading this organization? How did you step into it? Tell me all the things.
So Carmen Garcia was one of my very first people. I met her like around the time I met you 16 years ago, and she was fantastic. I know everybody knows Carmen, and she was the president of the GDPC. And she was like, Ruben, I really, really think, knowing your background and seeing your passion, and she saw me in my leadership role when I was chairman of the Regional Hispanic Contractor Association, and I was president of Compto. And those two were leadership roles that really made sense when I was really in the world of diversity, big time.
Right.
But then when I shipped back to WSP and back to planning and engineering and whatnot, the GDPC made all the sense in the world because it represents all of that. It represents a vision of the visions of Dallas, because for 80 years the Greater Dallas Planning Council, if you know our history, we were lockstep with the city of Dallas and all of the leaders, both private and public, in the development of the city. I mean, we have all the history, all the archives that show that we were front and center.
Yeah.
And so that is exactly what I need to be a part of, because I wanted to make a change. If I'm going to make a change, I need to think in how I bring people together to make change.
Right.
I can't just do this on my own. And so she said, "This is the organization for you." I said, "Okay, if I join, I don't just join to join, and I don't waste my time. I want to lead this organization eventually." She goes, "Let's do it." So it took me about 6 years before I became president. And part of the way I did that is I was the vice president of programs, and programs was the key. Programs allowed for us to bring decision makers, the key projects, the key initiatives, the key issues to the table, bring everybody together and get all the information that everybody is seeking to help position them for success.
Yeah.
Whether they want to be positioned to go after the opportunities that are being created by these issues, or they wanted to get involved because they wanted to help make change on issues. And I created the platform for that at a very, very high level, and people love that because people will pay lots of money and will do a lot of crazy things to have access to information.
Yeah.
Really, really good information, or have access to decision makers. And I had access to decision makers, and I had access to the information, and I wanted to share that with everybody through platforms. So I used my approach to the programming to help really move the organization back to our roots, which is to make real meaningful change. And we've been doing that.
Yeah.
We have been doing that. Now people will say, "Oh, y'all just have events." Like, "Oh, you think we have just events?" But there's a lot going on behind the background that you don't know about, that you don't need to know about. But I can tell you right now, we're working with decision makers, leaders, elected leaders, community leaders, business leaders on issues, and trying to help move and change and do our part.
Yeah.
We want to do our part. We're not the only thing in town. There's a whole bunch of other organizations that are doing the thing, and I support all of my peer organizations. I support them all. There's plenty of room to play, but we're going to do our part. And great GDPC has been great in that regard.
So how long have you been president now?
I'm going in my 5th year right now.
5th year.
I'm 5th year as president.
And so give me 2 things you're most proud of that you've done since being president.
Bringing it back to prominence.
Yes.
Okay, that's one, because in doing so, I've been honoring our history, and using it as using the GDPC platform to help projects be successful, like K. Bailey Hutchison, like Dart Silver Line, like Dart Transform. Like I could go on down the list. Being involved and helping provide support for those projects that are now in implementation or completed.
Yeah. So Ruben, you do so much, and I don't know how. You obviously cannot sleep. You cannot. Do you sleep at night?
I do. 7 hours is my sweet spot.
I don't see how, because we can see the impact of what you do everywhere, in not only this community, but all over our DFW Metroplex. So I want to say thank you for all the things that you've done to make us stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
But I have just 2 more questions for you. Actually, 1 question and then a statement. So next question is, aside from marathons, what does Ruben do for fun to decompress?
A couple of things. I'll answer that question, but to kind of respond to one thing, it's easy to do what I do because a couple of things. One, I have no pets.
Okay.
All you people on there, I know y'all have pets. Everybody in the city seems to have dogs and cats. Everybody has dogs. I don't have pets.
That is funny.
So that's part of it. And one of the things is I'm single.
Okay.
Remember, I'm single. All right? I'm single. Just not in the market.
If you want to get in touch with them, give us a call.
I'm single. So I don't have kids, or I'm single, and I don't have pets, and that frees up my time a lot.
Okay.
So that helps me really be able to maximize my efforts and everything that I do.
Okay.
But in terms of what makes me happy, you'd be surprised to know that I am a mega sports guy.
Okay.
Marathons is my sport that I do, and I'm good at it, and I've been doing it for 29 years now. I've done 136 races, 50 marathons since 1997. So you do the math. So,
Wow.
But I love sports.
Okay.
I will travel everywhere to go to sporting events. I'm a diehard Longhorns fan, diehard Cowboys, diehard Astros, diehard Mavericks and Rockets. So I'll go to those games anywhere they're at. I love following sporting events. I like going to sporting events in general because I love the architecture of stadiums and the functionality of stadiums.
Makes sense.
I love I've been to so many stadiums across the country, both football, baseball, basketball. So I love sporting events. I could watch sports all day long on TV. ESPN is my favorite thing. I'm really a sports history nut. So I could talk about sports history like you wouldn't believe, specifically for my teams, of course, but I could talk about sports history. And, you know, I like being around people because it fuels me, and I love that. But I could also be by myself. And when I'm by myself doing my thing, I could have sports in the background, and I am totally content. Totally content. And so, sports is my thing. You know, participating, watching it, following it, being a part of it. It's my thing. It's I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, last and final thing. It has become customary for me to give you the opportunity to ask me anything you would like to ask me in this moment. Any one question.
If you could have one thing that would completely change the nature of South Oak Cliff, if you could have one thing that you said, this is the one thing we have to have that could completely change the direction or the nature of South Oak Cliff, what would that be? You love South Oak Cliff, and I know there's a million things that you would love to see, but what's that one thing that you're going like, man, if I had that, that would be so awesome?
Oh my God. You know, Ruben, I talk so much all the time that it is rare that I'm stumped.
But because I know you have a whole bunch of answers.
I do.
I know you do. I know you know, but there's got to be something that, you know, I mean, I can think of all kinds of
me too. You know, I mean, my gut is, so, you know, I live near Wynwood over here.
Of course.
And, you know, I know that there's some things I probably should not say being in this position, but I will anyway. I wish we had a real grocery store over there. I hate the one that's over there. It is
That's okay.
Horrible.
That's legit.
I hate it. That's number one. Number two, I love going to the movies. I would love to have a movie theater over here.
Okay. See, that goes to the economic development stuff that I'm talking about.
Yes.
Reimagining downtown.
Yeah.
So you can have more grocery store. You can have more entertainment. You can have more. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So,
Yeah.
I guess it'd be cool if they had like. I mean, there's a movie theater off of Illinois, but you're talking about like a major AMC or Sinopolis or something.
I
like
go
that.
to Sinopolis downtown.
It'd be cool if y'all had an HEB.
I would love it.
Could you imagine South Oak Cliff having the first HEB?
I would love that.
That would
I
be
go to
nuts.
McKinney. I go to Whole Foods off McKinney.
That's what you should do. You should get HEB to South Oak Cliff.
I would love
Everybody
that.
in North would come down south.
Absolutely.
Everybody want to come to South Oak Cliff to go to
love
HEB.
it. You know, those are the two major things. I don't go to, since COVID, I don't go to very many stores. I just don't. But I still go to Whole Foods on McKinney, and I do still enjoy going to the movies, but I go downtown for both. So that's a great doggone question.
Just think about that. I know there's a million things that you would love to see.
Yes.
You know, but there's so many. I mean, yeah. There's so many things that I could think of that would be great for Oak Cliff. There's a lot of great things going on already.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great stuff, but there could be so much more.
Yeah. That's
so much more.
That's exactly right. Well, Ruben, thank you so much for being here
course.
today. I mean, it is always such a pleasure chatting with you, period, whether there's a camera rolling or not. But this has been great. I know everybody knows who you are, but thank you so much for getting to know in a better way Mr. Ruben Landa. And so thanks for chilling out with us for the last hour or so, and we'll see you next time right here on Strictly Business Unscripted. Take care. I'm your host, Keandra Jones, and again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.